And good evening, everyone. This is Luciana Turner, welcoming you to day two of Contracting and Business Week. Welcome, everyone. Oh, wow. How are you doing? I hope you had an amazing and productive day. I'm Luciana Turner, your host. Oh, wow. And I'm the founder of the LT&A consulting firm. I just want to tell everyone just a little bit about me, but you know how we do. Over here, we don't believe in growing alone. We believe in growing as a community. So share this feed, share this amongst your community. Grab a friend and pull out your contractor's notebook because I am quite sure you will receive a nugget or two of insightful and useful information on tonight. So, to give you a little bit about me, my name is Luciana Turner. I am the founder of the LT&A Consulting Group. We are a government contracting, consulting, and training firm. We provide and work with companies who are 2 to 3 years in business who are seeking to integrate government contracting into their operations. We also work with companies who are already operating in the government space, but wish to integrate compliance services into their businesses. They're typically emerging 8A or 8A companies that just wish to tighten up and prepare for the audit. So I have 20 plus years of government contracting experience. And, I've worked with two of the top government contracting firms. And one day I just decided I wanted to share my experience with emerging government contracting companies. Thus, LT&A Consulting Group was born. So, just a little bit about me. I'm a business owner. I am a mother, and I'm a soon to be author. I'll tell you more about my upcoming book tomorrow, Keys to Government Contracting. It basically compiles the answers to questions that I've been answering over the years since I've started my company. And I was like, these questions are repetitive. These are the questions I'm constantly asked. So why not compile them into a book? So that's where Keys to Government Contracting comes from. So pre-sale launches tomorrow. I'm excited about it. From I've put out some information on it, and the feedback so far has been exciting. I'm excited about it, but I'll talk about that a little more on tomorrow. But primarily, I'm a compliance officer, and that is simply saying there are rules and regulation to every industry: finance, government contracting, banking and industry. You name it, there are rules. Um, there are rules. So, I'm sorry. I make sure that you are following those rules. I'm sorry. I was distracted real quick. Um, my job is to ensure that you are following those rules. So, so a new compliance, well, it's not really new. It's not really a new rule. It was actually adopted in 2018. However, it's getting ready to be implemented for domestic. corporations, i.e., US firms. And that is a reporting requirement for LLCs. Now, the final form goes and is not ready, and you haven't heard about it from your states yet because it's a federal requirement. That's right. This regulation is coming from the federal government. And basically, it's a reporting requirement that says, excuse me if my camera goes off. It's a reporting requirement that says that any I need to read it. That's why you're losing the car. I want to say it right. Any beneficial owner of an LLC must be reported. And if you do not report this in a timely manner, it's a $500 per day fine. So the government is serious about this report, and they're serious about this reporting. Now, the information about the form and all that, the form isn't finalized, and I'm still doing some research on it. So the more I learn about it, the more I'll report on it. I'll have additional details about it the closer we come to my conference in October. So I will keep my community up to date requirement, but it was actually passed back in 2018, amazingly enough, which is why we need to keep track of what's going on the Federal Registry, because it was put out for public comment back in May of 2016, finally passed and adopted by Congress in 2018. So yes, there's a lot of moving and shaking. Um, so there's a lot of moving and shaking that's going on. Every rule that Congress is getting ready, every rule Congress is getting ready to pass or implement, there we go, they put out for public comment. That's why we must keep an eye on the Federal Registry, or we must keep in community with consultants such as myself who keeps an eye on the Federal Registry. I am here to tell you there's a lot of things going on in the world with up and coming legislation, and that's where it's coming at. And that's where we are today with our contracting tip. So, our guest has arrived and she is ready to drop some knowledge for you. I don't want to list all her accolades because we'll be here for an hour. She is a prominent leadership and business specialist. She is not new to our platform and she's ready to bring the heat. So we're just going to go ahead and bring her on. Miss Shalonda Clark, how are you doing this evening?
How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Well, don't you guys love technology? Isn't it awesome?
When it works.
When it works. Hey, just like us. Hey, we are awesome when we work. We work. You guys, thank you for having me here to be a part of this conversation about doing contracting and business week. This is an amazing time to be talking because we're closing out the end of the fiscal year and we're getting ready to do a lot of business, a lot of business. So this is a great time to be stirring up the pot and getting people prepared and ready to be on the scene when it's time to do business. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for making time for us because I know you're a very busy. You
Yeah.
know, you just hosted an event. I saw the pictures. So
I
tell us a little bit about that.
I did. So I am preparing a signature event where I will be hosting women in leadership. I will be doing retreats for them. And so one of the things I wanted to do was start at home first. And so I put it out a while back and then I pulled back and made some revisions to my initial plan. But I said, I don't want to let what I have on the inside go to waste. And I want to be able to empower women. So I'm going to start at home first. So charity starts at home. I was able to bring in a few of my first cousins from all over, and they joined us, and we had an empowerment event for my family first. It's really awesome to empower the world, but when you don't take care of your own front door, it kind of makes it hard to be on the scene. So I want to lead first at home on the home front, and so it was awesome. We had everything there from leading yourself, confronting different things in your life and in your business, in your family, the old, the current, and what's coming. We also were able to identify areas of personal liability. Our personal credit, our personal insurance, and our personal savings. We were able to even build new businesses for everybody. So everybody in that room left there with a new business plan, a new business idea, a new business actions. We were able to audit their businesses and look at how we can assist them in those areas. So it was really fun, but we wanted to make sure we were able to take care of our home front first, and it was amazing to do. My family is still excited about it and they want more, and then other people are asking about it. So it made my juices start flowing for my own event I'll be hosting for women in leadership. So thank you for asking.
That's amazing. I talked about it last night when I set the intentions for this week. We want to pick and choose the areas that we focus on. And if you don't uh, focus on everything, you're going to crack.
Right,
You have to have a holistic approach
right,
or it just goes nowhere.
right. Because it's
You
really
can't you can't focus on your business and neglect yourself.
right.
It's improper leadership.
Yeah, and that was exactly what the event was surrounded about, leading yourself first. And so that is a focus of mine. And I often say this, and it is a staple in my business: leaders go first. And if you're going to lead anybody, you got to lead you first. And so that means looking at me. I had to literally take the mirror out. What areas do I need to look at? What areas do I need to strengthen? I'm not broken, but there definitely is some opportunity in every area of my life. And so if you're not willing to get the mirror out, you're not ready for the reflection that's going to happen, what's going to come, because you're going to see what it is. The next step is, what are you going to do about it? What are you willing to do to take your leadership to the next level? That's in your finances, that's in your health, that's in your family relationships. My family had broken relationships. And so either you're going to talk about it or you're going to be a repairer of the breach. And so my part in the story is creating a safe environment to repair, to heal, to hold space, and to empower, and to really just let's just confront some stuff. And you're not alone in this thing because you're not by yourself. And so I was able to do that with my family, who are all most of them are entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. But when they left there, they were entrepreneurs building businesses and ready to put this thing on the market. They're ready to make money today because we were able to confront some old stuff. Like, let's confront fear today, and we're going to do it with you in real time. And so that is what we did. It was awesome to see them hop into courage, but also it's really amazing to lead people. But when you can't lead people who know you, that's different. So it was really amazing for me to be able to experience. These are my blood cousins, my blood sisters. Um, were I able to not only listen but hear and to follow, and that felt good because they know you for real, right? So they know you for real, or do they? And so I was
Mm.
of not sharing a lot of what was happening because I didn't know how they would feel. And so being able to be vulnerable in that moment in front of all of my family was a powerful moment for me, but it was also a very trying moment because the prayers that I prayed for were actually in that room. The things that I was thinking about, the miracle that I was thinking it was going to happen, that could happen, I could see it in that space. And to have people who would stand beside me and stand with me and say, hey, we want to be repairers too. We want to repair too. And so that was really amazing to have their engagement, to have their input, to have them be a part of it, and to also want to do it. I have to beg anybody. I tell people often, this is not a robbery. Leadership, we ain't robbing you at all. Leading you first is you saying yes to you.
I wanted to take this conversation a little further.
Uh-huh.
How can you lead a business if you don't lead yourself? People want to pour from an empty cup
Right,
and then wonder why they're exhausted.
right. Right, and it's really, and I don't want to say it's impossible because it's possible, but you'll lead it depleted, you'll lead it with holes in your pockets, you'll lead it without getting the success that you could have had, or the momentum, or the power. My thing is being able to lead authentically from a place of power, and so I could be authentic all day, but if I don't deal with me and my issues, I'm going to find myself leading from behind. I'm going to be behind time. I'm going to always be playing catch up. Always be playing catch up. If I didn't deal with the fear of the IRS, I would be always having to deal with running from them, right? So I used to be like, okay, I'm going to get audited. This is going to happen. But the truth is, you may very well get audited. But being ready for them when they come is on me to get organized, to get structured, to get an accountant. That's being
Yes.
answering the phone when they call, opening up the mail, whatever that looks like. Business means confronting what's behind, what's before, and what's ahead.
Because I'm gonna tell you, there is a such thing as self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
Leading in fear allows you to mess up
right,
because you're so busy running from it, you run into it.
right,
Whatever you're afraid of, you run right smack into it. I'm afraid of failure, you'll run into failure. I'm afraid of messing up, then you'll mess up. However, your leadership, and we've had this conversation, your leadership stands up and says, I'm not afraid of the mistake
mhm,
because there's a lesson in it.
right, right. Our mistakes are simply discoveries. We just simply discover there's a new way to do business.
Mhm.
And the truth is, failure can happen. The truth is, messing up will happen. The truth is, you may not always make the best decisions. It will happen. But being aware that this will happen, and if it does, if it shows up in your life or in your world, you know that you have the power to make a new decision. Either way. You know, when the failure comes and it takes you out, it paralyzes you. That's where your problem is. When the mistake just like takes you out of your game and you can't ever recover, that is where the problem is. Okay, I would like to know that I failed quickly so I can turn that thing around quickly. I want to just as fast as I got into it, I want to get out of it. And sometimes it doesn't happen that way, but when it does, what will you do next? Because life does happen. As a leader, when you're managing these contracts, when you're doing business, there will be things that will happen along the way. What you do next is on you. The biggest thing you can do is operate in your leadership is self-awareness. Be aware of what happens, how this is impacts you, how to prepare, how to be ready for what's coming because something's coming, but will you be ready when it comes?
I think that was the slowest and the hardest lesson I learned when I started in business. I didn't rebound fast enough. I call it staying in spin. I
Right,
spun too long.
right.
And when I learned that lesson,
Mhm,
and then I'm going to go here, apply the lesson
mhm.
because you can learn something and don't apply it.
Right,
I saw exponential growth.
right.
I learned to pivot.
Mhm,
And then I learned how to pivot on the fly
right.
because you can see things coming,
Mhm,
but that only came from, as we discussed before, getting in the right communities.
mhm, right,
Because I'm surrounding myself with people who sharpen my metal.
right.
Because in the short time we've known each other, you've sharpened my metal.
Good. Iron sharpens iron. And I've learned from you because this is the environments we should be in. And a part of that is making sure that we cultivate not only the resilience, that muscle to bounce back, but you got to be able to not only bounce back, but to move forward. You got to be able to push through. Leaders push through. Yes, we handle pain. Yes, we go through processes. Yes, we go through issues. But what you do next, I'm going to keep saying that because people get stuck right there with, oh, that happened to me. Yes, it did. But what are you going to do about it? You cannot worry about what happened in that moment. You have to decide, what am I going to do after this? What is going to happen after this? It is amazing when we are able to say, okay, yeah, this happens, but leaders have a responsibility to push through. If I stay stuck, then my whole team behind me, I got a full force behind me who is watching my every move. We're synchronized, right? We're together. We are one. So if I'm paralyzed, so are they. What are you willing to do next? Decisions determine destiny. And so, as a leader, you have to be able to look at this thing from all angles, because when you're in doing business and when you're dealing with contracts and dealing with people, because we are people, right? People
Yes.
change every day, right? And there, everybody may not have the same work ethic as you. They may not think the same way that you do. But what will you do as you drive this thing forward? Whether you're doing it by yourself or with a team of people, decisions will still determine your destiny. What are you going to do? How are you going to lead forward? Because life happens, and sometimes there are things that we can't even be ready for. Right? We were not even expecting that to happen. I had a
Mm.
transition in my career. I wasn't expecting for it to happen the way it did, but here's what I did. I made a decision that either way, I was going to do something different. And I did that. And decided that either way, when it shows up in my life, whether it's on the left or the right, I will decide to move here, because I had already made a decision about where I was going. I was moving either way. I don't care what they did or what they didn't do. I was going to move. And that was already decided. My decision was made. Now, did it happen on my timetable? No. But I was able to push through till my time came. Because somebody thinks their time is now. And it may be your time to wait, your time to
Mm.
understand, to learn. And you're like, I want it right now, 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 now. And what if I told you that it is now, but the now in this moment is for you to learn. The now in this
Mm.
moment is clear that about what it is you're called to do. The now in this moment is for you to learn how to communicate. The now in this moment is you to read the fine print that you didn't read the first time.
Oh, you know
So
what? I think we miss define now.
right, right. What does now mean? And so when I look at now, I turn it around. Now means won to me. I've already won.
Mm.
So it's already prophesying to my future. I've already won. I just turn it around backwards. So what I do in that moment is going to be on me. What is your now season? What is it saying for you in this moment? You may think you're supposed to leave your job right now. I work a corporate job and I also run a business. But right now is my moment to leave my job right now. No, it isn't that moment yet, but it's coming. I've already made a decision that I'm leaving. The decision is made. When the time comes, I will be ready.
Yes.
So I hear people talk about that often. What is going on in your now? And you have to sit with that. Where am I at on my journey? But too many people are looking at everybody else. You're comparing my now to your now. You've been in
I
this for 20 years in contracting. I'm just jumping out here now, right? So I'm just getting out here. My and I may be thinking I'm gonna catch up to you, but the truth is you have 20 years of experience. You're loaded. So,
yes.
and you're comparing your season to mine. Don't do that. You hurt yourself.
I was talking with someone about a new product that I'm putting out, the 365 contractor.
Uh,
And their response was, well, I don't want to wait a year. And I said, well, what's your rush?
Right,
Why are you speeding up to failure when you can slow down to success?
right. And that was a powerful nugget for them. Because people they love to hear the quantum leap, they hear the collapse in time, they hear this stuff, and this stuff does happen.
Yes.
When you don't have foundation, you have a faulty house and it's going to fall. Something's going to happen. You're gonna have to call the repairman more than you could have if you didn't pay for what you needed. Like you paid in time. Time is matures. And people like, oh, you're so it doesn't happen that way. It happened for me this year. Yes, there's things that happen fast for us, but time matures, and everybody's time is not the same.
And I tell people all the time, yes, you can build a house in a day, but if you put in a 1,700 square foot house on a 500 square foot foundation, it's going to crumble eventually.
Right, right.
Take your time and build it effectively and efficiently.
And when you say that, all I seen was a structure, right? I see a structure, but there are blueprints to that house. The house
Yes.
just throw it out there. There's a way to do a thing.
Yes.
And so, and my way may not be your way, but there is a way to do a thing. And so, what is your system? What is your process? What is your structure? Can I see
Yes.
blueprints? I want to look at your building and see what you have. I'm trying to look at your measurements here. I'm trying to understand what foundations you're using. I'm trying to understand how this house is going to be designed so I can align my vision with what you're bringing to the table. You tell me you want to build this big house, but what does the system look like? Can we see the blueprints? Can you show them to us? And if you can't pull your blueprints out, are you really ready to build?
Nope.
Because if you go get a permit, they're going to ask you for the prints. You can't even get a real print without blue or a real permit without prints.
And and I say this all the time, and people, it, it's the source of my frustration. This is something my mentor tells me. He said, because this is your assignment.
Right.
You're frustrated by it because it's your assignment. People want this blab it, grab it, claim it blueprint, this one size cookie cutter thing. And it doesn't work. Now, there's about 5,000 government contractors, but nobody is using the same blueprint, even though everybody is following the same steps.
Right.
Because what works for me as a government contractor doesn't work for you, but we're all following the same blueprints.
Right.
And that is the one thing, the one message. Now, we're going into your contracting hat, but it's all leadership.
Yes.
That is the one message I want everybody to get. Because in my time in compliance, doing the audits, it was getting that across to the companies.
Right.
There's a methodology for a reason.
Right.
Now stop saying but, and catch the methodology.
Well, again, they don't want foundation. Like we have multiple churches, but the foundation is the word of God, right? Well, at least it should,
Yes.
in my book, at least it should be. The word of God is the foundation. It is the driving tool. Like I work in with contractors now, but we're governed by one policy, right? We're governed
Yes.
by a group of policies, and so each one of them has a different way they do business, day-to-day operations, but we're governed by the policy. And so if your day-to-day operation doesn't align with the foundation, then it doesn't serve me, doesn't serve our department, doesn't serve our compliance, it doesn't serve our audit when we get it, whatever that looks like. I want to make sure that I can do this legally. And my job is to figure out ways how I can do it versus how I can. And so I think people come from that mindset too. How can I help you be successful at getting your job done and maintaining the compliance factors that we have to comply with, maintaining those, but also being able to um, get the job done. And so one of the ways we do that in my business world now is just making sure we communicate. That's the biggest thing, communicating. And do you understand the content? You got to be able to comprehend the content. And so many people don't comprehend all the different terms that government contracting has. That's why you hire a consultant. You get people around who can help you to do that. And some people don't want to hire the consultant. They don't want to do that part. They want to skip that step. And the truth is that particular step is one of the that step. It may not be, you have to have it all the time. But if you can't comprehend it, you better find you somebody who can. You got
Because
to
I'm
find.
going to tell you, you can win the contract and lose the award. And I don't already put it on the t-shirt for you.
Right.
You can win the contract and lose the award. You know how many dollars? And I worked at a $1 billion company. We actually ate an entire contract.
Mhm.
I mean, gave every dollar earned on that contract back to the government, plus penalties and interest, because they failed to follow one term on the contract. One
Right.
lousy term, and they had to return every dollar on that contract.
And that's really unfortunate because all the work you put into getting the contract, it's kind of like, I've done all this work to get it, but now I couldn't sustain it. People don't understand sustainment. It's a part of your leadership. What does that look like? Sustainment means making sure I have the right people at the table. I have a process in place. I have an audit process in place to audit, and I have to. You just can't expect them to get it. You got to inspect it, and when the inspectors come, what will they see? What is your maintenance plan? You can get the brand new car, but if you don't take care of the car, take it in to be serviced, it's gonna be on the side of the road, right? You don't want
Yep.
to go there. It's the same thing with
Ain't
cars.
no money.
You're not going to go if you don't take the time out to make sure that you are doing your part. And so, what I've seen contractors do is they get multi-million dollar contracts, but they don't hire the effective team to be able to help them to sustain it. You would make more money if you had the right people on your team. Yeah, it's going to cost you up front, but hey, this is a sacrifice that you may have to make on the front end so you can enjoy it on the back end. And so I think that people get into this business thinking that I got a contract and it's gonna come in my lap and I have to just do this, this, and this. That's it. The basics. Well, that's not true because sometimes during the contract, the terms may not change. So we might need to talk, help come to the table and talk. And so you that's when I find out that people don't understand what they signed up for. So you signed up to provide a service, and
Mm.
now I'm calling to the table because I'm telling you I have issues, and you don't communicate it back, or you don't communicate back. You don't have an audit process in place. You don't have a follow up process in place. They just want to do the work, and that's it. That is not how it works. And so I think what I've learned most valuable is having people on your team who understand. The drivers may not have a thing to do with the contract, but there should be somebody in that team or on that office who works coincidentally with the contracting team to make sure they understand the language and the requirements.
Because you
If they
have to make sure you have the right order.
right,
And a lot of people get the order wrong. And then you sitting there in the back office once, and we're going back to leadership in the back office, pointing fingers because the order was on in the first place.
right,
Because we have priority shifting. My pet peeve in government contracting is this conversation around certifications, and I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. Because everybody want to get certified, but are you able to submit a bill?
right.
Do you have the right team members?
Mhm.
Is your team trained? Do you have a training program? And then when I'm talking to people, and I always bring up effective management, effective leadership, effective communications, all of this stuff. And they're like, but I'm certified. And the number one complaint I hear from contracting officers is you don't submit me a compliant bill.
Right.
And we talk about that constantly.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I have a stack of them that are non-compliant now that are come back that they want to get paid, and we can't pay them because the bills are not correct. And so that's a part of the contract. It says that you send me a bill that's in the right order or that is it's labeled right. And so I think that people often miss it right there, the basics. I want to know how I can get paid and how I can get my service, right? But I want to make sure I stay compliant. It's like having your license. If you don't have your license, then you can't drive. At least you shouldn't be. But what do you have to do to maintain it? And so you think about that is that many of our people who have who want to hop in the government world, they want to ask themselves a question: what do I need to stay in business? What do I
Mhm.
need to start is one thing, but what I need to sustain is another. And so those are two different things. And that's the same thing with leadership. It is important that you not only you become a leader, but what do you do? Yeah, I've been a leader for over 15 years now. And I really believe longer than that because I believe I was born that way. I really believe I was wired that way, this life. And as I come into different roles, I recognize there were different requirements. Last night, I spent 2 hours online training in my leadership. Like you already a leader. Why are you training? Because I recognize that this thing is continual, and that's with business. That's in contracting. You don't just stop growing. When you stop growing, you stop living. When you stop living, then you are dying. And so it's important that you continue to have a growth mindset in leadership, because when you start to do government and contracts and any kind of business, you want to stay up to date on what's happening. I heard you say, I stay up to date on the federal regulations and what's happening on the registry. I'm up to date on that. This is your business. You want to make sure you know what's being the know. The same thing. I'm a leadership consultant and a coach. And so I spend my time in leadership communities and leadership books and leadership, in leadership containers where I'm around leaders all the time because I'm being sharpened. Eagles gather to eat. And so I want to be where the eagles are. And so it's
Yeah.
important for me to continue to do that. And that's the same thing. You just don't get the contract and you just stop learning about contracting. You should be always in a course, always making a connection, always looking for a YouTube, pay for the course. And you may have to invest. You may have to say, I need a consultant on retainer for a while until I get to navigate through this because I plan to do it. If I get a new contract, I need to get me somebody to help me, to help to make sure I stay with it at least till I learn the ropes. It's no different than you training your body. You get a trainer, right? I don't
Mhm.
know how to do no exercises. I'm gonna need help. Okay, I'm gonna need somebody to help me, walk me through the process so I can sustain the growth that I want. And so I'm excited to share with you guys. I'm excited to continue to empower other leaders about what this means. Leadership is something that we should all carry. Everybody should be a leader. But the truth is, everybody isn't. And if you want to be in business, in any kind of business, where it's a business relationship, where it is relationships outside of business, and even in the contracting world, on the stage and off, you got to lead you first. You got to make sure you communicate. You got to make sure you comprehend what you're signing up for. And ultimately, making sure you have the right support community. These things all matter. And they help us to not only define our leadership, but it refines our leadership.
Mhm.
I don't know about you, but I always want to be in a place of refinement. You're like, well, you've been refined. You always refine. Yeah, I'm always trying to make it better. I want to be the best version of me when I show up in this world. And so I think that people they're quick to get it. They'll get the contract, but they won't go through the process of making sure they put themselves in position to maintain it, to sustain it, and to ultimately get better along this journey. This is a journey. I won't mind continue. I want 4 years and 4 more years and 4 more years. I want them to keep signing me up. I want me to be the premier choice. And you will not be the premier choice unless you learn how to align yourself
Yes.
in the right direction, making sure you define it. I deal with leaders every day. And when I deal with contractors who know how to do business, it makes a difference. That's who I want to talk to. You do not want me on the phone with you as a business owner or a vendor who's doing business with me and who has not been in compliance, who's not communicating,
Mhm.
who's not comprehending what he signed up for. It's not a good, it's really robust. And so we don't, you don't want us. You need us to be in alignment. So make sure that your alignment is set up for sustainment.
You're stealing all my questions. I'm like, what am I going to ask you now?
So actually, I'll stop. I'll ask you. I'm excited. I got excited. I got excited because when I talk about it, I light up because it for people who are interested in leadership, I didn't realize how important it was to me. And everything I was doing, whether it be in any area of my life, but definitely in the workplace, it was leading me back to leading me first. It was leading me back to um, making sure I communicate. It was leading me back to taking the mirror out and looking at me. Because sometimes it ain't them, it's me.
Mm. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
sometimes it is not them, it's me. Sometimes my expectations need to be adjusted because my expectation may be different than what you comprehend, what you understand, or what I communicated. And so when we fail to do that, and if I'm not clear, I may have a big vision, but a small budget. Let's go back and look at my expectations. I may have a big vision and I don't have the right structure. Let's go look at my expectations because expectations are the very thing that impact outcomes. And so it's really
Wow.
important that we as leaders get the mirror out and make sure it's not my misaligned expectations or am I misinterpreting what I really want? And so it's really important about making sure that you're clear. Alignment will help you to get clarity, and clarity helps you to decide better about what it is you need, what you need to do, and what direction you need to go.
And I think that was not only a mic drop, you threw the shoe at some people tonight. Oh my God. Didn't I tell you she was going to bring it tonight? I hope everybody took some notes because Shalonda, you brought it as I knew you was gonna do it, and you
Thank
didn't.
you.
That's why I didn't ask you no questions. I knew you was gonna do what you do all the time.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I hope I was able to share some nuggets with you guys. I can't wait to see you guys at the Contractors and Business Conference. I am excited about it. I know it's going to be an amazing. And if you know you need to be in that room, get in that room. We're not only expanding in contracting and business, we're expanding in our leadership, we're expanding in our personal power, we're expanding in our the way we talk, way we show up, how we show up for us is important this hour. And you need to be in that room. Need to be in that room.
Yes, she's one of my facilitators at the conference, Contracting and Business Conference, this October 5th and 6th here in Charlotte, North Carolina. She is, I mean, she's amazing. You did that was just a drop in the bucket. That isn't even what she's teaching on.
All
That
right.
was just her free flowing. So you can imagine what she's going to do over the 2 days.
We're gonna hang it out. We are going to hang out and have a great time. I am looking forward to the opportunity to connect with each one of you in that room and just really, really, we're gonna take it up a notch. And I'm looking for 2024. I call it FY because I'm on a government world, so I always on a government calendar in my mind. So FY24, let's turn up the heat. And so I'm
And
excited about what happen.
and the conference is actually a couple of days after the government fiscal year starts.
Yes,
So, and that wasn't a coincidence. That was actually intentional.
I love intention. Intention. Hey, I love intention. I got excited when I took the date, so I know that we get to really dive in right at the beginning of the year. We can kick off, running and running, but we're not just running, we're ready. And
Yes.
I believe this conference is going to help us to be ready for the contract, be ready for the opportunity, be ready for the conversations about what's going to happen, the connections, the community. We need to be ready for that environment and that atmosphere, especially when we're ready to do business. There's so much business out here to do, and I'm ready to do business with each of you. So I look forward to seeing you.
Yes. Thank you for gracing the platform, and we look forward to seeing you in October.
Yes.
Everybody be in the room because I'm going to tell you, contracting will make you have some tough conversations. And if your leadership skills are not there, it's going to be difficult to have those conversations. And I'm going to tell you, when you're negotiating, you can't be stammering. You have to be powerful in your leadership. And there's a difference between showing up powerfully and showing up as a bully.
Right. Right.
And we're going to have that conversation in the room because, I'm not even going to go into that story because we'll be here another hour.
That's
There
so
was
good.
somebody
That's
who thought they were showing up in power and they were showing up as a bully and they lost the contract.
But there's a difference. There is a difference. I'm excited to get into that because that is a skill. It's an art, but it's also a skill that you can develop. And um, we see those all the time. And people often mistake your silence for agreement, and it's not. But when you speak up, what will you say? And
Yeah.
so it's important to say the right things, have the right language. Language for the leadership is important too. Um, and also just to be able, like you said, to negotiate. The power of negotiation is so powerful. So I look forward to sharing with you guys. It's going to be even more amazing. You just gave me some thoughts, but they're not even running like this. But I feel good. You got me excited. Um, thank you.
Thank you, Shalonda, for joining us this evening.
All
Oh
right.
my God. I mean, she was just truly amazing, truly amazing. I have notes and thoughts just running through my head. I don't even know where I'm going to begin, but this is just day 2 of contracting and business. So I'm inviting you to join us on tomorrow evening because we're not finished yet. Our guest that's on tomorrow evening is Kevin Clark. He's joining us on tomorrow evening. He has a background in government contracting as well. And I want you to just join us on it tomorrow evening as we continue contracting and business week. This is Luciana Turner, your host, and I'm signing off for the evening. And I'm telling you, a stressed mind can't create. Walk in power and leadership. Take some time to digest the information you received this evening. Join us on tomorrow night. Have a good evening.